Okay, it says, example 1, introduction to partial products. Use partial products and the distributive property to calculate the product. 200 times 32 and 6/10. So, take a look at it. Distributive property, partial products. Does any of that ring any bells with anyone from 5th grade? Distributive property. What does it mean to distribute something? I'm distributing. If I had a package of candy, and then like, here is table 2. If I had a package of candy and I wanted to share it with you guys, I would pass it out, right? I would distribute the candy to Sebastian, Stephanie, Hunter, Anthony, Cortera, if she were. Where did Cortera go?
She was the office.
Yeah, that's right. Tim. So I'm distributing stuff. So whenever I'm distributing with math, that means I'm taking one of these numbers and I'm passing it out to my different characters here. So I see that I have a whole number, and then I have something to deal with decimals. So one other way to think about this is to distribute my whole numbers to my decimal numbers. So I'm going to distribute the 200 to 32 times 200 plus, because what is 32 and 6/10? So now I need to write my 6/10, 6/10, and I distribute the 200 right there. Now, the reason why I'm using parentheses, is there any math operation between the 32 parentheses 200? Now, remember, I always say that math people are lazy, right? We don't like writing things. That's because this is just another way of writing out multiplication. Because what operation was going on up here? Multiplication. So I still have multiplication. I know that 32 is being multiplied by 200. Anytime you have a number out front of parentheses and nothing's going on there, always assume you're multiplying something. So what's really going on was I now have 200 being multiplied by 32 plus 6/10. That was in front of this parentheses. It's being multiplied, right? So then I distributed it. I distributed 200 to 32. Then I distributed 200 to my 6/10. I'm seeing some people are not writing this down. Come on. Hunter, are you writing this down? You're playing on a computer, man. All right, well, let's get it. So I have a multiplication problem and a multiplication problem. Can everyone agree with that? One person agrees with me? Can we see that I have multiple multiplication problems? Okay, so what's the answer to a multiplication problem? A product. Very good. So this is part of my product. This is part of my product. What was the goal for today? The distributive property and the product of decimals. We're using partial products in the distributive property, right? So let's tie this back to what we're doing for today. I'm finding two partial products, and I'm going to slap them together, and that's going to be my final answer. Now I have to multiply, oops, I'm all over the place here, 32 times 200. Now I know, using my toolbox here, that whenever I have a number and there's just a bunch of zeros at the end and I'm multiplying, is there anything stopping me just from writing down my zeros? How many zeros do I have? 2. So how many zeros do I have? So now what is 2 times 2? What is 2 times 3? And I could go over here and rewrite this, 32 times 200 And then I go 0 times 2, 0 times 2, 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I'm in my tens place. So I have to add a 0. Then I go 3 times 0, 3 times 0, 3 times 2. And then when I add these two partial products together, what's my product? Okay, when I add these two numbers together, 400 plus 6,000, what do I get? 6,400. Okay, so what's easier to you guys? Writing out the whole standard algorithm or using our math tools to say, hey, I know about numbers. I know when I multiply and there's a bunch of zeros at the end, I can add the zeros down here. And then I just multiply my digit times the other factor. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3, 6. Yeah, this way is way easier. This way takes a lot of time. So let's use the same tools here. Okay, how many zeros do I see? 2. So I can write down 2 zeros. Then I multiply my digit 2 times 6. What is 2 times 6?
12.
Okay. But I see that I had a decimal here, right? So I know that anytime I'm doing multiplication, I have to pretend as if I don't have my decimals, right? I have to bounce them out. So in my mind, I'm bouncing it out how many times? 1. So when I'm done, I have to bounce it back in. There's my decimal. How many times am I bouncing it back in?
1.
So now I have a partial product of 6,400 plus 120. So what is 0 plus 0?
0.
What is 2 tens plus 0 tens?
2 tens.
What is 100 plus 400? 500. What is 6,000 plus no thousands?
6,000.
6,000. And I could come over here and stack that. And that's probably going to be helpful to a lot of you. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. 0 plus 0. 0 plus 2. 2. Wake up. 4 plus 1. 6 plus 0. Which way is easier, having to rewrite the whole standard algorithm or looking at place value by place value? Ones to ones, tens to tens, hundreds to hundreds. It saves you time. In the test situation, do you have unlimited time to write out all the stuff and model everything?
No.
No, we don't. I mean, we run out of time. So we have to learn how to use our tools in order to think creatively about math. If you understand place value, if you understand decimals, man, life just gets to be easier. It really does. If you don't get it the first time, figure out what you're not getting, what is it that's confusing you, and just try again, right?